do it. It is starting. Oh, what a way to start a morning. I'm Hank Philippi Ryan, and this is First Chapter Fun. It is 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, and you know that because it's a day that begins with T. This is First Chapter Fun, and I think I am live on Facebook as well, although it is not showing me that. If you see me on Facebook, will you let me know? I can't see that at all. And now let me check and see. Are you having fun already? This is, I'm supposed to be live on Facebook right now. And let me just see if I am. Can someone tell me whether I am live on Facebook? It is not showing me that I'm live, and that is somewhat unusual. There we go. Yes, I see it now. I see it. How amazing is that? That it is actually working on Facebook. Okay, never a dull moment this morning, you all. Is that not true? I'm Hank Philippi Ryan, as I've been trying to say right here on Instagram Live and right here on Facebook, as the computer refuses to cooperate with me. This is First Chapter Fun, where every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m., my partner in fictional crime, Hannah Mary McKinnon, and I, the best-selling author, gather with all of you to read the first chapter of a wonderful new book. Not one of ours, not generally one of ours, but sometimes one of our own, and we will talk more about that in a little while. But we've had a pretty rocky start already this morning, and this has been a pretty interesting week for me about technology. Are you okay? Are you guys fine? Are you guys surviving this craziness? Hi, Allie. Hi, Sharon. Oh, thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Okay, Glennie. Hi, Katie. So nice to see you all, and all of you on Instagram as well. I see Glennie and Al Pessin are here, and William Jones and Robin Morris, and two babes in a bookshelf. I love that. You have such a great page on Instagram. Thank you so much. So anyway, it has been quite the technology and appliance week around here. First, my email stopped working. I mean, stopped working in the most sinister of ways. I could get emails, but I couldn't send them. So I'm madly efficiently sending emails and answering all my stuff and thinking how efficient I was and how I was really finally getting everything accomplished that I was supposed to accomplish. And I kept getting emails from people saying, did you get my email? Why don't you answer? We're on deadline. And I keep writing back saying, I answered you hours ago. I'm all caught up. And it turned out that I could get emails, but I could write them and it would look like it was sending them, but it wasn't sending them. And it was really kind of unnerving to realize how much we rely on that technology, and then when you hit send, you really expect that it will be, imagine that, sent. And so we had a couple moments of craziness. Then someone whose name will not be mentioned, but there are only two people in this house, and it wasn't my husband, must have failed at freezer Jenga by trying to put yet one more thing in the downstairs freezer. And I thought I had done it, and I thought the door was closed, but apparently I had not successfully closed the door of the downstairs freezer. So I went downstairs to get something, and the freezer door was open, and can you imagine how annoying that was? So we fixed everything, and that's all fine, but never a dull moment. So when Instagram worked this morning, but Facebook didn't here on First Chapter Fun. Yep, freezer Jenga, that's what it is, right? You just see, you open the door, and you can see if you can get one more thing in there, and then close it. Then the big test comes when you have to pull something out, like, okay, can I just take one piece of chicken out? And then you see what happens if everything falls and breaks your feet because all the frozen stuff falls on you and you have failed at freezer Jenga. So that is what it is like at our house. So thank goodness for First Chapter Fun, right? Thank goodness that we can be here every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:30 a.m., the day that begins with T, to read you a wonderful new book. Hi, Katie Tallow. It's so nice to see you, and Jamie and Bonar and Jodina and Susan. This is so great. I mean, it is so reassuring to see you all here this morning. It's just great to be talking with you and doing something that, knock on every piece of wood available, actually does work. And I hope I haven't jinxed it by saying that. Anyway, welcome to all of you. If it is your first time here, I am so thrilled to see you. If you are a veteran first chapter fun watcher, that is fabulous too. Bring a friend. We also love to have new people here. Allie is saying, I always have an avalanche when I open my freezer. I mean, and it's crossed my mind. Hey, Linda. It's crossed my mind. Oh, yes, Hannah is reminding me that we read from Katie Tallow's book, Dark August, and it's a Canadian bestseller now. So thanks to you on First Chapter Fun, and thanks to Katie Tallow's smart readers who have put her book, Dark August, on the bestseller list. And that is great. And long may you ride that way. Dark August is a terrific book. So we are all in this together. Jamie's saying, I've done that with the freezer before. You know, I have to tell you, and this is my final confession, and then I will go on to read this morning, because we are reading Spring Girls by Karen Katchur, which is, and I wish you could see this cover better. I know you're seeing it, but it's really rich and deep and textured and gorgeous spring girls with just that little touch of blonde hair amidst the lily pads, which is kind of scary. The book is kind of scary in a good kind of way. Thank you for knocking on wood for you. Yeah, so Jamie found the ice cream almost melted, she said. I've done that with the freezer before. We realized when we wanted ice cream one night and we found it almost completely melted. I guess that meant you had to eat it all, right? That's the only way to deal with it. Just eat all that ice cream. Katie is saying, your support helped me reach more readers, so thank you for that. Well, that's so nice. First Chapter Fun books are incredibly special, and we read the great ones. I mean, we really do. So we are very proud of you, Katie Tallow, and also Hannah Mary McKinnon, another Canadian bestseller. And, you know, it's interesting because we hear about it here at First Chapter Fun all the time. Oh, she's a bestseller, she's a bestseller, he's a bestseller, he's a bestseller. We read that book. It's all very chicken and eggy. You know, we hope to choose really great books for you, books that we trust and rely on and know that you will love. And it's really gratifying when the world sees that too, especially in the crazy times that we are in right now. So I'm so glad that you're all here with us this morning. We're going to read from Karen Katchur's Spring Girls, which is out right now from Amazon. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover, Spring Girls. Let me tell you a little bit about Karen Katchur. And again, if my string of technology crashes continues, if Instagram boots us out or if Facebook boots us out, please don't do that. Facebook, please don't do that. Instagram. I will start over, and so you will hear all of Karen Katchur's wonderful first chapter and prologue. Hey, Wendy, I met Wendy last night on Renee's Reading Room, which is Renee's Reading Club, which is absolutely fabulous Facebook page. Renee is marvelous, and everybody at her reading room is great too. We had such a good time. So please check that out as well. Two Babes is saying, I need to get Dark August. Yes, that cover is gorgeous. Indeed. Shannon, your to-read list has grown exponentially. That's what we're here for. The diabolical Hank and Hannah Mary McKinnon are here to make your TBR list get even higher. And we are going to do a little bit more of that today. Jodina is saying, Karen's books are amazing. This series takes place in and around my hometown. Well, that's so interesting, in the foothills of the Appalachians. So it is a gorgeous and marvelous setting. So let me read you a little bit about the wonderful Karen Katchur. This is another thing that hasn't worked. So I have my glasses here at my desk, and I'm supposed to have my glasses at the kitchen table where I can read the newspaper, and then by the television so I can read while I'm watching TV. That's a long story. And one upstairs in the bedroom so I can, on my nightstand, so I can read in bed. And look, this is what's on my desk right now. All the glasses have migrated to exactly the same place. So none of them is where they're supposed to be except for these. But all right, they all wind up here at my desk, which is where I am most of the time. Anyway, all right, finally, Karen Katchur. Karen Katchur, we're going to read from Spring Girls by Karen Katchur. Karen Katchur is an award-winning suspense novelist with a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice and a Master's in Education. She lives in eastern Pennsylvania with her husband and 2 children. And Spring Girls is now available, as I said, and we are reading from this morning with the kind permission of Karen and her wonderful publisher, Amazon, which makes her books so easy to get. Hey, Jen Jumba, I will be speaking at Jen's library on August the 10th. So we need to figure out how to let all our first chapter funsters know about that as well. Do I BCC yourself in your emails? I do. It automatically BCCs. I think I'm flooded. We don't even want to talk about my emails, Wendy. It's so terrible. There are so many of them and so many. Let's just go to Karen. Wendy, you and I will talk because the email thing is a constant disaster. But lucky we have it, right? Anyway, Spring Girls. Let me tell you a little bit about Spring Girls. Here's a little bit of what it says on the back cover. She's the only one who survived and the only one who can help find the killer. Another spring, another dead girl pulled from a lake in the Appalachian foothills. The latest victim in a series of murders with few leads. But Detective Gina Broussard and her partner, Parker Reed, finally land a break when they receive a tip about a previously unknown survivor of the so-called Spring Strangler. The survivor is reluctant to help the case for reasons that aren't at all clear. Even so, Gina uncovers a connective thread between the victims, and recently discovered DNA brings her closer to the killer's identity. But Gina knows the survivor has the most to offer the investigation, if also the most to lose. Gina is torn between securing the survivor victim's help and protecting her from further danger. One thing is certain, Gina and Parker must find answers before the killer claims another life or returns to finish off the one who got away. Okay, so are you just hooked already? Does this just sound like bestseller for you? Wendy, this is so great to see you. I am so glad that it's your first time here. And all of you Wendy is on Facebook. All of you say hi to her because she is a new and dear friend. So we don't usually read reviews, but these are just so interesting. Let me tell you this. Publishers Weekly says distinctive characters enhance the fast-moving, twist-filled plot, and the killer's identity comes as a nice surprise. And then it says Katchur is on a roll. And then Kirkus says, the dilemmas of 2 good women struggling in very different ways to do the right thing create suffocating suspense. Suffocating suspense is good. You know, it's just when you're immersed and overwhelmed in the story, and that is exactly what happened in Spring Girls. So let me read you. I'm going to read you a little bit. The beginning doesn't really have, it doesn't say prologue, but it's kind of a prologue. It just has a little caption, and then I'll read you chapter 1. So here is the very beginning of Spring Girls, and it's called Drowning. Drowning is a quiet death. She learns this firsthand, how it's nothing like she's seen in the movies. There's no thrashing, arms flailing, splashing, crying for help. Rather, it's a silent sinking as the water enters her mouth and nose, soundlessly filling her lungs. The rapids whisper in her ears, a harsh lullaby, as the current pulls and tugs her arms and legs, her torso, playing with her, toying with her, dragging her downriver. She doesn't fight or try to resist. A strange kind of calm settles inside her, a dead calm, an acceptance of what is coming, as though she has chosen it herself, a tragic ending to a mostly happy life. Only once does her head surface, and even then, it's only the top part, her forehead, her eyes. Foam bubbles in fits and rages, but there is a second when she can see, and in that second, time stretches far and wide. She spies the bridge, the pillars, the cold steel rail where the signs post warnings about the dangers of jumping, the lone figure staring down at her. A flicker of fear ignites, sizzles against her flesh, extinguishes as quickly as it appears. Darkness sweeps in, swirling around her, tumbling, tumbling, tumbling down. And that's just the beginning that says drowning. So now here's chapter 1. On a rainy spring afternoon, Janie sat with her son, Christian, in the dark movie theater. They were only moments away from the big climactic scene where the family of superheroes takes the villain down and saves the day. She was barely paying attention to the action on screen, having seen this particular kid's movie before. It was a second run, a promotional tool for the upcoming sequel to be released in June. But she needed to get out of the house, distract herself from the disquiet she'd been feeling ever since she'd gotten out of bed. She couldn't pinpoint the cause of her unease. It was just there when she'd opened her eyes, much like the heavy gray clouds consuming the sky. When the movie ended and the credits rolled, they followed the crowd to the exit. She stopped near a wall of video games, searching for her keys and her purse. Christian pulled on her blouse, his fingers slick with the butter from the bag of popcorn he'd eaten, leaving grease stains on her last clean shirt. "I can't see," he whined, and he crawled up her leg and all the way up her body as though he were a spider on the trunk of a tree. He wrapped his ropey arms around her neck. His forearms squeezed her throat. "There's nothing to see." She tried to loosen his grip where his arm had dug into her larynx. "It's just a video game." It was a game meant for mature audiences, but of course it was more popular among the younger kids. It was full of death and destruction and shooting, characters who looked too much like real people, blowing up cars and buildings. "I want to see." He tightened his grip on her neck. "Christian," she coughed, grabbed his arms, and tried to pull them away from her throat. There were black spots in front of her eyes. For a second, she thought she might pass out. She tried to pry him off. The scent of buttery popcorn filled her nose. Just as she thought she might black out, he released her and jumped to the ground, fell on his back. Air rushed to her lungs. He stared up at her from the dirty theater floor, eyes wide, accusing. How dare she? "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Did she push him or throw him off of her? She crouched next to him, reached for his hands to help him up. "Are you hurt? Please tell me you're not hurt." "You hit me!" he shrieked. "I didn't hit you," she pleaded. "Christian, please, you were choking me." "Is everything okay here?" A woman approached, wearing a black shirt with the movie theater's logo stitched on the pocket. She bent over, speaking to Christian directly, ignoring Janie. "He's fine," Janie said, scooping Christian into her arms, even though he was 6 years old and too big to be carried. She didn't give him the opportunity to answer the movie attendant, knowing he'd say his mommy had struck him. "He was climbing on me and fell, that's all." "Okay, as long as he's all right," the attendant said before walking away. As soon as they were in the car, with Christian snapped into his booster seat, Janie felt like she could breathe for the first time. Before she started the engine, she looked at him in the rearview mirror. "You can't tell people I hit you when I clearly didn't. You could get mommy in trouble. It was an accident. You fell." He stared back at her in the mirror, unmoving, silent. She started the car and pulled from the parking space. It wasn't until they were a mile from home, stopped at a traffic light, that she touched her neck. Her hand was shaking. She turned onto 8th Street, parked in front of a modest single-family home in the small town of Bangor, Pennsylvania. The outside was made of brick, the roof of slate, a solid square structure built to keep the wolves out, where no amount of huffing or puffing could bring it down. She bought the home when Christian had turned 2 years old, sinking every penny she could scrape together into the house, a desperate need for a safe place to raise her son. They headed inside. Janie set her keys and purse on the kitchen counter. Christian ran into the family room. She followed him. Do you have to go to the bathroom? She said. He shook his head. She set him up with his coloring books and crayons. I'll be right back, she said. She stood in front of the bathroom sink, splashed cold water on her face, tossed her hair over her shoulder. A black mark was visible on her neck, but perhaps she was imagining it. She did that sometimes, saw things, memories in her mind's eye that refused to stay buried. She pulled her blouse closed, turned away, struggled to trust herself. She'd wear the required collared shirt to work on Monday, but she'd button it up to the top to cover her neck, just in case there really was something there. She was an assistant manager at a craft store, family owned and operated, closed on Sundays to honor God. She liked her job. She'd taken to arts and crafts at an early age, raised by a mother who taught home economics at the community college and a father who taught woodshop in the middle school before he retired. She was the product of a small DIY family of three, a hard-working, country-loving, God-fearing family. She'd knitted Christian's hat and scarves for winter, black and blue stripes, his favorite colors. She'd decoupaged the second-hand coffee table she'd picked up at a flea market and had sewn her own curtains, which now hung in the family room and their 2 bedrooms. She'd been raised as a good girl, as her mother had told anyone who would listen. A good girl. Her mother had made it sound as though Janie were a child and not a young woman. As for being good, Janie didn't even know what that meant anymore. She made a cup of tea and some finger sandwiches, set the tray on the coffee table in front of the TV. Christian's coloring books were thrown around, crayons scattered on the floor. His favorite magazine, When Animals Attack, was open to a page where a great white shark bared several rows of teeth. She flipped the magazine closed with her foot, hoping he wouldn't notice. The toys and books he gravitated toward always felt sharp to her, edgy, violent. She turned on the local news, stared at the reporter standing in front of the yellow crime scene tape. A cop with broad shoulders deflected the reporter's questions with the typical non-committal type of answers law enforcement gave when they weren't prepared to release information to the public. Christian made race car sounds as he ran around the coffee table, coloring the decoupage top with bright orange crayon, crashing into Janie's shins on each pass. She didn't stop him from ruining the tabletop like she should have. Instead, she sat on the edge of her couch, hands tucked between her thighs, unable to move, to look away from the screen. What she'd sensed earlier, the reason for her unease, was playing out in front of her. It had happened again. She could feel it deep inside her bones. There, behind the reporter and police, she saw the serenity of the lake, the rolling green mountains, the promise of another victim. Okay, that is the end of chapter 1. And I promise you, talk about promises, I promise you that when I was reading this online on the PDF that was sent, I swiped to go forward. I said, this can't be the end. This can't be the end of what I'm supposed to read. You're kidding me. I am not going to stop there. There has got to be more to it than that. But then no, that was all there was. That is the end of the first chapter. I mean, I know Jen is saying, don't stop, don't stop. I know when I was trying to read it myself, I was just turning. So I had to run and get the whole book because, oh my goodness, please. Spring Girls, what a hook at the end of the first chapter. And you know from the drowning section that something untoward has happened. And then we start with just that very typical sounding Janie and her son having a day that started out to be very nice, had a little snag, and then just went on to be not the best thing that there could be. So again, that is Spring Girls by the marvelous Karen Katchur. You can tell she is a master of suspense, and we know, Hannah and I know, that you will love this book. Yeah, and the drowning section, we're talking about it on Instagram now. The drowning section is very evocative. Those kinds of things are very difficult to write, and Karen Katchur has managed that so beautifully. So hooray! You can get Spring Girls right now, and we're so pleased to have read that to you this morning on First Chapter Fun. Now next Tuesday we will be here again, and that is where we get very meta. I have to tell you, Hannah and I always say, where we read other people's books, not our own. But Tuesday, August the 4th, is the day that my new book, The First to Lie, comes out. And Tuesday, August 4th, is the day that we get all meta on First Chapter Fun, because Hannah Mary McKinnon will be reading from my book. Yes, indeed, what's coming on Tuesday, Hannah says. The First to Lie. If I had to describe The First to Lie in 4 words, it would be betrayal, motherhood, obsession, and revenge. 2 women face off in a high-stakes cat and mouse game to prove their truth about a terrible childhood betrayal. But which of the women is the cat, and which of the women is the mouse? And in their obsessive search for revenge, only one can succeed, because only one is the first to lie. And I hope you love it. I am full of pre-launch jitters, as Hannah well knows. She and I have been emailing this morning, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. And dear Hannah says, it's fine. It'll be fine. So fine is good. Anyway, love you. Love all of you. Thank you to Karen Katchur for her wonderful Spring Girls. We adore reading this to you. It's so marvelous to see you all here on Instagram. Thank you. Just marvelous to see all of you on Facebook. Thank you. Hannah and I love First Chapter Fun, and we love seeing you here every Tuesday and Thursday, days that begin with T. If you would like an advance review copy of The First to Lie, just for the people who are on this Facebook right now live and on Instagram right now live, one person, I will choose one person from here on Instagram, one person from here on Facebook, today before 12:30 EST, I will send you a copy of The First to Lie. Just one person here and one person here. We don't usually do giveaways, but I'm looking at all of your names and I just can't stand it. So I'd love you to have it. Please just say, I want The First to Lie here on Facebook and here on Instagram. And I will choose, in the next half hour, I will choose one person. After that, you all go run and get this book. No pressure. It's just my career. And we will see you right here live on Tuesday and every Tuesday and Thursday for First Chapter Fun. Till then, please stay safe. Please stay kind. Please stay safe. Please stay kind. And we really love you all. See you next time. Take care. Yes, I'm trying to go end the live video, but I cannot find the mouse. And now I will.